In security, we like to talk about tactics, techniques, and procedures, aka TTPs. Get us started with talking about the TTPs that security practitioners are seeing from threat actors these days.
Well, TTPs are really the key indicator that we go off of when we're talking about actors. So a lot of what we'll see is malware. This is more the behaviors of the actors that are deploying the malware. So what we'll see commonly today is use of open source utilities, whether that is C2 frameworks like Cobalt Strike or various other things. You'll see open source tooling. You'll see living off the land binaries an awful lot, and using of legitimate remote access tools for their own benefit. So using the utilities that businesses use to do remote access because it makes it very difficult to block.
What are some of the top TTPs that are sort of dominating the threatscape these days?
It's tough. It really depends on the groups that you're talking about.
Okay.
So if you're talking about like state-sponsored groups, they're going to tend to use a different set of TTPs. They're going to live in a slightly different landscape than you would see the criminal organizations in. But honestly, we're seeing a lot of collapsing of the tooling because it makes it so that it's much harder to attribute. If everybody is using the same tools, how do you differentiate between one group and the other? It makes it a little bit more difficult to differentiate.
What solutions are on the market right now that can help security practitioners defend against these kinds of threats?
Probably the biggest thing right now is XDR, extended data detection and response. So the challenge that organizations face is today you're securing a bunch of disparate systems in disparate locations that are using different stacks and have different functional groups, and being able to quickly correlate not just across those systems, but add in all the other indicators that you have available to you. Things like network indicators, stuff that you're able to pull out of identity, things that you can pull out of email so that you can get a much more holistic view of what's happening.
Talk a bit about how Cisco competes in the XDR space.
Well, we have a new offering that's recently generally available. We've been spending a lot of time working to really drive home the capability not just to detect across Cisco devices, but the ability and the acknowledgement that you have to be able to work across multiple products from multiple vendors. So providing the ability to support not just Cisco products, but other products to give that holistic view is a really key part of our XDR vision. This was the thing that helped drive our XDR vision, because we saw the challenges of managing disparate locations, disparate systems, very disparate stacks, and really needing to pull telemetry data from a variety of sources to really have a better understanding of the compromise.
Talk a bit more about how companies can ensure that an attack like that doesn't happen to them, and in the event that it does, like what can they do to regain control of the situation?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of utilities that are out there. We just had a new ransomware offering that we came out with to kind of help remediate when organizations do find themselves in this unfortunate location. The most important thing though is making sure that you have protections in place, you have visibility in place, and that you're maintaining a good security posture. Far too often we see simple mistakes that organizations make lead to these types of compromise. So like I always say, defense is hard, offense is easy. You have to be right 100% of the time. It's a very, very daunting task. Well, we're seeing adversaries get more and more sophisticated. There is more and more capabilities available to more and more groups than we've ever had before. You have what would historically have been reserved for only the most elite of state-sponsored groups. Those types of TTPs and behaviors are common for criminal organizations now. It's going to be a tough landscape out there for the foreseeable future, but with good technology in place, making sure that you're prepared for the eventuality of a compromise, you're much better off doing the work to make sure you're ready before it happens than find yourself scrambling in a moment when you're really in need and find that you aren't really prepared.